we have to tell them. No police officer, we not friend them. String them up with rope and hang them. Straight to block like hell, we are send them. We are gonna end them, not suspend them. Man despise them, not titleize them. But all think we block like them. We have to fight them in time beside them.
Hi, and welcome back to Animal Liberation TV. So as promised, I'm going to do a little kind of summing up of this whole bizarre court case business. I've had a good day celebrating, so I'm hoping I can focus enough to do this episode. Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, I've been buzzing all day from the news. Still very much gloating. But I'm still finding it very bizarre. I still can't get my head around it. I know times are changing, and I mean, I know they didn't prosecute, the CPS dropped the charge against the 3 lads that handed themselves in for nicking the 5 dogs. But that's a bit different, isn't it? You know, like, it was honourable what they did. I'm not saying it was dishonourable, my behaviour, but it certainly wasn't exactly honourable like that as such. So I'm still very confused by it, and you know, I have got a certain amount of experience with court cases and stuff. Like I've said before, I've probably been nicked about 25 times, mostly for public order offences. I've had probably at least 50 appearances in different magistrates all over the country. Probably at least 50, I guess. I've been in God knows how many different police stations, and I've had 3 Crown Court cases as well. One in 1993 in Manchester, the conspiracy, which I've talked a lot about in Badger Stories. Then a Crown Court trial at Knutsford Crown Court in, I think that was 1998, where I had a 5-day trial, and I was acquitted by the jury unanimously after about an hour and a half of deliberation. For a fray outside the HLS lab in Wilmslow, Cheshire, which isn't that far from Manchester. And a 3rd Crown Court case, which was in 2001, which was a bit mental, and I'll talk about that. And I got not guilty on that. I didn't even go to trial. They chucked it out. There's loads of plea bargaining, and some people pled guilty. There were 10 of us up in court in Northampton in 2001 on a conspiracy charge, and people who talked in their interviews and stupid things like that had to plead guilty, and those of us that kept our mouths shut like I always do, we got the case dismissed against us. So I've had 3 Crown Court cases, and about 50 magistrates appearances, and this one is just, well, it's kind of, it's interesting for a start for me. It's better than just going through the usual predictable sort of procedures where I thought I was going to turn up tomorrow, go not guilty, run a bit of a trial, get found guilty, and get a bit of punishment off the magistrates for it. So, seeing as they robbed us of the trial, and I'm kind of free to talk about things, I'm pretty sure I am, and I don't give a fuck anyway. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to kind of run through a little bit of the police case and what they said, and then kind of give a little side of my story. And I'm going to put a couple of little clips of things in with this as part of my storytelling, and hopefully you'll be able to see some of the photos on this as well. So this was the case. The 2 charges, because I had the 4. I've explained. What I'm not going to do is repeat stuff. You need to watch the other episodes about this case. What has there been? 2 other ones or something at this point. You need to watch those because I don't want to have to repeat what I've said in those. So my police assault was thrown out of Cambridge Crown Court a few months ago now, and the police restarted. Why did they even bother? Why did the CPS restart it? Just to keep me on bail from Camp Beagle, maybe? None of it makes sense. So my charge, that was supposed to be up for tomorrow in front of the magistrates in Peterborough, on the 14th of the 8th, 2021 at Whiten in the county of Cambridgeshire with intent to cause PC, fuckface Barker, harassment, alarm or distress using threatening, abusive or insulting words or behaviour or disorderly behaviour thereby causing that person or another harassment, alarm or distress. So Public Order Act, Section 4, that is, it's kind of wishy-washy nonsense, and I've been nicked for loads of public order offences, and I've got a fair few convictions of public order offences as well, quite a lot of resisting police, resisting arrest and things like that. And I had a Crown Court trial for a Section 3, which is a fray, which almost, my behaviour wasn't anywhere near like this, and that was a Section 3 more serious. So, let's see, what do you think? Do you think that I used threatening, abusive or insulting words or behaviour or disorderly behaviour? Let's see. Okay, right, bear with me, there's loads of pages of stupid paperwork I have to go through. Okay. There has been an ongoing, so this is all police stuff I'm reading out now, police statements. There has been an ongoing animal rights protest outside MBR Acres in Whiten, a beagle breeding facility, near Huntingdon since 27th of June 2021. The protesters have set up camp outside the premises and refer to themselves as Camp Beagle. Protests have been happening daily since the camp was established, and the stated intention of the protest is to remain in situ and frustrate the business of MBR Acres to such a degree as to force it out of business. The methods used include the daily protest activity, which is aimed at the staff as they enter and leave the site. During this, verbal abuse is levelled at the staff. Protesters deliberately stand in front of or walk extremely slowly in front of the staff's cars as they enter or leave the site. Protests hold placards against the windows, preventing the driver from seeing out, making it unsafe for them to move. The protesters have also held days of action, whereby they invite protesters to join the camp for a full day of protesting. On these occasions, their actions have resulted in it taking 2 to 3 hours for staff to be able to move just a few hundred metres along the B1090 as they leave the site, despite police efforts to protect them. I was there for some of that. Amazing. Well, I think one Sunday, it was actually 5 hours we barricaded them in the premises of MBR for. 5 hours. Sat in their cars at the end of their Sunday shift doing their scummy fucking bullshit. Just desserts. Max Watson has previously drawn police attention as a person of interest for awareness of officers in relation to the ongoing protests due to his aggressive and militant tactics. He also uses the pseudonym of the Sergeant. Right, I'm going to explain that really quickly. There's a photo in at least 2 of my videos where I'm stood with a fake plastic police helmet on. I've got a yellow high-vis vest and I'm in all sort of black, so I look a little bit like I've got a copper's uniform, but you can tell I'm not a copper. I've got none of the gear or proper stuff, and I'm stood in front of them at the MBR gates with my ACAB tattoo pointing in the other direction. I've uploaded a photo of that, me mucking around. Like I've said, I like making a twat of myself. Barry Horn's co-accused Mick Shanahan in their Brampton 3 possession of explosives case in 1991, where they got 3 years each. Mick Shanahan once described me as the jester of the animal rights movement. You know, I do like making a twat of myself. I like to, you know, I don't like being too serious all the time. Anyway, so people started, I walked around standing next to police officers, like mocking their postures and stuff, like for the other protesters to laugh at for probably a couple of hours that afternoon while we had the staff barricaded in. Something to do. And so people started jokingly calling me the Sarge, you know, or Sergeant, you know, or Sarge or whatever, just as a joke, because I was taking a mick and dressed a bit like the coppers. So they're saying my pseudo name of the Sergeant, making out like I don't know what. He regularly appeared at the protest site and was unusually aggressive towards staff members and particularly police. Watson has an ACAB tattoo and is very plain about his dislike of officers. No kidding. On the morning of 14th of August of 2021, police liaison team officer Barker was in attendance at the MBR Acres site as he is almost daily to liaise with the members of Camp Beagle and to try and facilitate lawful and peaceful protest, and also to enable the staff members of MBR to go about their lawful business. Morally not lawful, that's for sure. Lawful because it makes lots of money for those fucks. Blah blah blah. Right, I think that's the summary now. I want to go to his. So many pages of this bullshit. They've wasted a lot of time and money on this. Why? Why have they dropped it? That's really odd. Okay, here we go. I think this is what I want. I am Police Constable blah blah fuckface Barker of Cambridgeshire Constabulary. I am a member of the police liaison team, specialising in liaison, negotiation and dialogue between protesters, members of the public, police staff and other agencies. On the 14th of August 2021, I was in full police uniform, fancy dress I call it, wearing the blue vest of police liaison team, which is clearly distinguishable from a regular police high-vis yellow uniform, which displays the wording police liaison. What, that gives you, you're different from, what, you put a little bib on, a blue bib on with police liaison, and that somehow makes you different. What fucking planet are you on, you muppet? I was with another officer wearing the same vest, has the same wording. Blah, blah, blah. This is boring, isn't it? I attended the MBR site, referred to locally and on various social media sites as Camp Beagle. There are usually between 10 and 20 protesters at the site on a daily basis, with days of action bringing in around 100 to 150 protesters in total. I'd say it was probably a bit more than that on some occasions. Police officers are routinely deployed to the site to get staff in and out of the gates and onto and off the main road safely. On some occasions there has been aggression in the form of shouts and threats towards staff and even damage to vehicles. On most occasions, police, either ourselves from the PLT or police officers in high-vis yellow, have managed to facilitate the exit and entry of staff with some minor scuffles and jeering but no offences. I will be referring to a male in this statement. I will refer to as bald male. I might be bald in, but I'm not bald. This male is being called at the site Sergeant, like I explained before, and also Max, but I cannot be sure of his identity at this stage. I would describe bald male as a white male aged roughly in his 40s. Yeah, get in. Stocky build, I'll take that. Bald, but that ain't right. He has a tattoo on his ACAB on his right forearm, which I believe stands for all coppers are bastards. At least he knows it. Bald male was dressed in black trousers and a black shirt with dark sunglasses on. The amount of time he was in my view, I'd remember him if I saw him again due to his manner and hostility towards him. I was talking with a handful of protesters who were preparing to allow staff movement when bald male, sorry, I just can't remember bald it makes me laugh at. When bald male appeared, he was clearly very agitated and gestured to his right forearm and the ACAB tattoo. He kept referring to us as cunts and asking, "Why are you even here? Jog on. And no one wants to talk to you. No one likes you." He was very agitated, and I would describe his manner as hostile. No, really? What with you escorting beagles to their death, you scummy fucks? At one point he said words similar to, "I'm not hitting you right now as I'm on camera." And then he made a pistol with his right hand and looking right at me said, "If there wasn't a camera here, I'd shoot you." This male then walked off back up the road. Whoops. Around 2 or 3 minutes after this, security for the site opened their gates, and within a couple of minutes, cars for the morning shift had appeared. Were heading into the site entrance. Scum. There were around 10 or 12 protesters in the way, but I was prepared to allow them up to a minute. Oh, he was prepared to allow them. Oh, yeah, we must obey your 1 minute you allowed us. That was something that really wound me up. You can see it in the video. I'm saying to him, shut up. As that minute was approaching to end, I saw bald male come back, or just at the end of the minute. Oh, this is going to be bad timing, isn't it? And start to stand in front of cars. I warned him that protesters had been given a minute, and he was very confrontational again, getting in my face and calling me a cunt, and generally being annoying. Annoying. I mean, can you arrest someone for being annoying? I'm not so sure if that's arrestable. He continued to walk in front of the cars coming into the site and would keep turning to and saying, "We're going to smash your faces in tomorrow. We're just biding our time until tomorrow when we smash all your faces in." He was clearly very angry, and I genuinely thought he would punch or headbutt me. Ridiculous. Such that I took a step back on more than one occasion. Yeah. Judging by his attitude to a police officer bigger in build than him, what fat and lanky he is, I'll tell you. Fuck off. I could have him any day. Where is it? Build than him and his ACAB tattoo and his manner. I honestly believed that if there had been no CCTV, that he would have attacked me or my colleague. I used my tactical communications to get him to go back down by holding out my hand in front of me and trying to placate him, but he wasn't listening. He kept swearing in my face, and then at one point, at around 8:45, he chest bumped me and started waving his finger in my face. Ooh! Oh dear, where is it? Making references to smashing our faces in. Oh dear. Oh dear. It was very clear to me he was trying to goad me into a fight. He had to be held back by other protesters, or I believe he would generally have struck out at me. I considered all of my PPE and the situation, but believed that using force against him to either effect or arrest him, or to defend myself, would only have made matters worse, as we had no other support available, and we were heavily outnumbered. I believe that acting against him at that point would have been disastrous, even though I feared this male was going to assault us. I warned this male I wouldn't keep taking threats from him. I had to warn bald male several times to get away from the cars and to get off the road, but he wouldn't listen, and each time only became more aggressive. He was leaning on cars and shouting into the windows of them at the drivers and passengers, and although I couldn't hear his voice over the top of all the others, there was no doubt because of his manner and tone that he was being aggressive. Ooh. I continued to do my best and keep PC Flemington in my view, blah blah blah. Blah, blah, blah. Once we had managed to get the vehicles in and out of the site, PC Flemington and I stood talking to two irate protesters. So I wasn't the only irate protester. You know what I mean? They were talking to two irate protesters when bald male. It's just every time. It's like he's trying to wind me up or something. But I've had the last laugh, haven't I? Bald male fucking spoke to you how we fucking wanted, you fucking lanky twat. You animal abusing scumbag. When bald male came over and started interrupting us and telling us not to talk to them and telling them not to talk to us. Yeah, about right, isn't it? He then walked off up the road. Now this is the best bit. This is going to answer a lot of people's questions who were there when Sammy from Camp Beagle had a van search, and they were looking for a noose, which I'm going to show a bit of stuff up, but this is going to explain all of the noose mystery. Finally, people will get to hear the story of the noose. Once we were finished at the location, we were back walking up the road. I could see bald male on the left side of the road, leaning against the blue van and playing with a length of rope. PC Flemington said to me, "He's got a rope, and I think he's going to swing it at us." Bald male appeared to be singing. Is that a crime, singing? And when I got closer to him, I could hear him singing the words, "Despise them, hang them, and end them." He was very threatening, and I thought he was going to swing the rope at us. which I then noticed had a noose at one end. The noose. It was very clear to me he wanted to put us in fear. We were on the side of the road and away from CCTV at the MBR site. They've got their body cams on, though, you know what I mean? And he wanted to put us in fear. We were on the side of the road and away from... Oh, yeah. I'm very surprised that he didn't lash out at us. Yeah, but I didn't. What are you, Minority Report, trying to guess crimes that might take place? As we walked past him, he said words similar to, "There's 50 of us coming down tomorrow just for you." Oh, I like this guy, I tell you. This male was very verbally and physically aggressive towards us, and one I'm prepared to tolerate a level of peaceful protest. He's prepared to tolerate a level of peaceful protest. Hang on a minute. What exactly is he trying to say? He doesn't tolerate some peaceful protest. This male was overly threatening and I believe crossed the line in his attempts to threaten us. Okay. Right. Bear with me here, because I have to scroll through down. Oh, this is quite funny. When he attended the Barry Horn 20th anniversary, the police liaison officer, and then put some statements in from that day, even though he's not alleging I did anything illegal that day. He's put a couple of things that he said happened that day. And I'm thinking, well, if he knew, they knew I'd organised that day. So he's the guy that got me nicked, and he's choosing to attend a relatively small demo. So he's obviously going to see me. I'm obviously going to see him. He chooses to attend that demo, and I say that's provocative of him, to be honest. And then he picks up on a couple of things I did to wind him back up, and he makes out. So it kind of made him seem really petty, which weakened their case. The idiot. Blah blah blah. Oh, this is a good bit. He was attending Huntingdon Town Centre. In this statement, referring to a male I know to be Max Watson. Max is a short, podgy, bald, white male. I'm 3 centimetres taller than the average UK. I'm balding. I'm not bald. And I'm not podgy. I've got a little bit of extra sort of like 51-year-old padding, but I'm not podgy. He's got the wrong guy. Maybe this is why they've dropped the case. They've suddenly realised they've got the wrong man. He's such a wind-up merchant. And he has a sneering expression which makes him very easy to spot in a crowd when he is not wearing a face covering. A sneering expression. Only towards fuckwits. Everyone knows I live with a smile on my face a lot of the time. I met Max before when he assaulted me. What? No, I don't think so. And you haven't even tried for the Section 4. You've dropped that, you lying little fuck. On the 6th of November, I was assigned to the town centre march in memoriam of Barry Horn, a prominent animal rights activist who died 20 years ago. I was there, there'd be people. Approximately 12:10, I stood on the back of Princess Street by the library when a car drove up the street and Max got out of the car. He made eye contact with me and I could tell by his expression that he recognised me. Oh, no kidding. You're the guy that got me nicked, you silly twat. He was not wearing a face mask, so I could easily see his face. Whoa, this guy's a proper Sherlock. No wonder he's a PC at age 55 or 60 or 65, whatever he is. He got out of the car with 2 other males and immediately spoke to one of them. Max pointed to me and I could hear him say, "That's the one I hit." What a knobhead. No, I didn't. He has a... He smirked and winked at me. I was around 10 metres away from him and it was at a volume I could hear. I ignored the comments in my back and walked away rather than provoke any response. Why would I say that's the one I hit when I never hit him? You know what I mean? I'm not a fucking bullshitter. If I was a bullshitter, I'd lose a lot of respect very quickly amongst people, wouldn't it? Be like, oh, that Max is always fucking telling little porky pies, you know. You can't trust what that Max Watson says. So, I didn't say that's the one I hit. I said that's the one that got me nicked. You know, which was true. Protest began assembling. Before the speeches began, which was around 12:45, Max stood opposite me around 15 metres away, talking to a blonde white female I do not know, who was holding a loud hailer in his right hand and behind his back the trigger on a loud hailer several times in quick succession, each time making a squeaking sound. It was clearly aimed directly at me. He laughed again and spoke with the female. Again, I ignored the gesture. So I pressed the thing on the megaphone in his direction, like on the other side of the town square. Yeah, to kind of like wind him up, like, yeah, you got me, Nick. Like, and he's writing down in the statement. I mean, what? Because is that illegal? No, it's a bit of kind of tomfoolery, isn't it? If anything, it's very light intimidation, if you could even call it that. It's more like saying, "All right, mate, you got me, Nick. Beep beep beep." So you. They then did a march around the town. You over there in the blue, at me, shouted, "You over there in the blue," and then Wolf whistled. I was not intimidated by these actions. Well, why would you be? Me wolf whistling at you, shouting out, "You like you in the blue over there," like, you know, it's me mucking about. For fuck's sake, petty twat. No wonder the case got kicked out. Actually, thinking about it, it's all becoming clear, isn't it? I was not intimidated by these actions, but I feel the way in which he deliberately made eye contact with me each time and would not engage with any other officer shows his intent to try to intimidate me. Ooh, I suggest he gets a job as like a, I don't know, a masseur or something, in a way he's not going to come up with any confrontation. Now, is there anything else interesting here? I'm sure there's a bit which says, here we go. They talk about when they walk up the road. So there's the main confrontation at the gates, and then further up the road by the van, me swinging a rope, singing a song. The male continued chanting, "Get a rope, string them up and hang them. Man despise them, not idolize them. He want to end them, not suspend them." So, yeah, basically, I think I might interject. Oh, hang on, let's show you the photos if I can get the reflection to be alright. There's a photo. Can you see? I've got what they're saying is a hangman's rope and noose in my hands, and I'm leaning against Sammy's van up the road just as after I stormed off after ranting at them, and then waited for him to walk past me. When I saw him walking past, and I just sort of chose to wind him up a little bit more. But I mean, it's not really the most aggressive thing ever, me leaning against the van. So the rope, okay, yeah, so the song is Rico Dan, and I was singing those. That's why I've put the verse of that as a joke at the start of the videos, the last two videos, because those are the lyrics that I sung out to the police. While I borrowed one of Sammy's dog leads, and I put it inside itself so it looked like a noose, and then I just held it across myself like this. And they raided, after they nicked me in Sammy's van, they went back and raided Sammy's van looking for a noose, which I'm going to show bits of video of. And everyone was like, "Why the hell would anyone be looking for a noose?" And so basically, this came from me just leaning against this van, swinging this dog lead that I put inside itself a bit at the end to look like a noose, singing Rico Dan's lyrics about not befriending police officers and we need to get a rope and hang them. So that's where the whole noose thing came from. Me just being silly, singing a Rico Dan song at them, which isn't really, threatening, is it? Here's me closer up with a dog lead in my hand, which they saying was a thick rope and a noose that they searched Sammy's van for. Ridiculous. It's embarrassing, isn't it? It's such muppets. There's me allegedly threatening The officer, that's his body cam stills, and I'm stood in front of one of the workers' cars, telling him to fuck off. There's me stood in front of the workers' cars. PC fuckface Barker trying to get me to move, I'm ignoring him. So all of these things I've been charged for and questioned of, and there's me allegedly getting in PC Barker's face and allegedly giving him a chest bump. I mean, if I'd given him a chest bump, he didn't know about it. And that got kicked out. And there's me, body cam still, allegedly, after just saying, if we weren't on camera, I'd shoot you, and those are gun fingers. So, you know, right, so, I mean, basically, the first thing I want to say is, you know, if you watched my channel and you followed the videos, and really, to be honest, up until this January, when it was the first year anniversary of the death of my mate Wrench, my best mate, in last January. So when I was down in August at Camp Beagle, 7 months after I watched Wrench take his last breath, I look back now, I see the whole of last year is very strange to look back for me. You know, I was, you know, very mentally, I think what they call it PTSD these days, you know, is, I think I was suffering pretty bad PTSD. So really, and that was only about the third time or fourth time I'd left the village that I had been staying in grieving for 7 months. So I wasn't right in the nut, and the main reason I can say that I wasn't right in the nut was because I lost my temper too easily that morning. Obviously I was furious, because I am passionate about this. You know, I have dedicated a lot of my life to the animal liberation struggle and ethic, and talking about it and doing stuff about it and trying to organise it in my own way, trying to do my bits. So I am very passionate about it, and my heart does break, and I do cry tears over these puppies and what happens to all the animals. You know, it's genuine. So I was absolutely furious when I heard they'd taken those 2 vans out 8 weeks after the camp had been set up. No puppies went out for 8 weeks, did they? Then they sent the 2 vans out. I went down 4 days later, and I think, you know, part of my PTSD was I lost my temper too quickly that morning. Just was, you know, I kind of had a lot of anger. You know, I was not in my right mind really all of last year as such. And I'm not making excuses for my behaviour, but the reason because every time I was at those gates, in those sort of situations, I was masked up and hooded up with the shades all the time I was at the camp. And I didn't that when I did that episode, when I had my, obviously it's an outburst. You know, I lost my temper. No one feels good about losing their temper, do they? I'm not ashamed of what I said. But I wouldn't have said that stuff, especially not with a mask on, and in the way so overtly that I did. If I was in my right mind, that's what I'm saying. But, you know, losing my temper and all the rest of it was my reaction about the Beagles. You know, the fact I went down and not thinking straight, masked up, to go as full on in their faces like that was because I was suffering the PTSD last year. Not quite thinking straight, obviously, but in the end, it doesn't matter that I acted like a buffoon and with no mask on, because the CPS won't try and convict me of it. I find it really bizarre because, I mean, you know, a lot of the stuff they're saying there, I mean, you know, there's sort of double standards and pettiness and bullshit and, you know, exaggerations and all sorts obviously going on by PC Barker in his silly statements. But the core stuff of what they said I said is caught on their body cam. So that stuff, I did say that stuff, you know, and it's, some people might not like that aggressive attitude. My mum doesn't like my confrontational attitude towards things, but especially authority. But that's how I am. That's how I'm hardwired, and that's my experience has led me to be this way, you know. So the passion as well was kind of what drove it all, and you know, obviously I had a little angry outburst. You know, it's a bit embarrassing when you lose your cool, and I'm not proud of that. And you know, it's not. You know, I'm not like that with people in normal daily life unless you cross me. You know, so you have to either be filth or animal abusing scum, or you have to have crossed me in some way to see a nasty side of me. So, you know, I hope I don't come across as a complete lunatic. And, you know, it doesn't give the camp a good reputation if you behave like that down there, does it? So, you know, that was all part of me losing my cool and not really being in the right state of mind as well, mixed in with the passion about what is going on. So that's kind of my explanation of it all. I admit, I said all those things, they were all caught on the videos. That's why I can't understand why they're not trying to prosecute me tomorrow about it. It makes no sense. So, yeah, so what's the other thing I want to do, because I want to mix a bit of footage in with this. I'm going to put a little clip of me as after I was nicked in Sammy's van. They let me when I held my hands up and they had a police line in front of me by the van between me and the protesters, and I was like, fuck the police. And so I'm going to put that in because I was doing it in time with the drummers that came outside the van for the arrest. It was all a bit mental. And then after they nicked me, they searched Sammy's van, and I'm going to edit a little bit of video stuff of them searching Sammy's van looking for the noose, which we finally all know the answer to. The noose is the rope. There was actually a dog lead, and I'm singing the song Rico Dan talking about getting the police hanging it up. So that's kind of really most of the stuff I wanted to say. I mean, the time has dragged on a bit. So I'm still mystified as to why they're not pushing ahead trying to convict me of that, because, you know, realistically, I didn't have much chance of winning that case, you know, with me abusing them so overtly on video. So what the fuck is that about? And like I said, with all my different court appearances and experience, I'm befuddled, or whatever the expression is. I don't get it, but I'm celebrating anyway. And, you know, I've got a real long-standing hatred towards Cambridgeshire Police because of the time I was involved in the HLS campaign, what's now LabCorp, and all the other times out sabbing as well, where they get in the way of what you're trying to do. They're always in the way, and they're always on the side of the animal abusers, even though when you say to them, I don't bother communicating with them. Well, I do, but, you know, I don't have a chat with them. You know, some people go, don't you feel ashamed about standing outside here when there's beagles in there or whatever? And if they do bother to respond, they'll say something like, I'm just here doing my job. If I had any opinions of it, I'm not allowed to express them now. Which basically they're trying to imply they might have sympathy with you. But who gives a... We don't want your sympathy. We just want you to fuck off out of the way so we can get in there and nick the animals, and maybe even hold the people accountable for shit responsible a little bit as well. Ooh, Max, you go all risky. Why do you always go risky? So, you know, and my behaviour as well, you know, like... as an anarchist, it's an anarchist's job to provoke and agitate at all opportunities. Not necessarily, not anything to do with the legal stuff. Just even if it's just ideas, you know, provoke, agitate, get people, because the system just wants everyone into some sort of homogenous grey sludge of consumer work slavery, tax paying, device watching, jabbed up. Oh dear, risky again. Race of moronic sort of crap consumers, you know, listening to shite music as well that's in the charts these days and all that. So they just want a grey sludge, you know. They don't want people thinking. So I think I'm going to try and wrap it up there. It's dragged on to a long episode, but anyway, yeah. So you know, I'm celebrating this victory. I'm seeing it as part of a wider victory. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I hope you've got some entertainment out of the stuff going into that a bit more, and it makes up for the people who wanted to come and see me on trial. Maybe you had like a little kind of weird mini trial crushed into 38 minutes, whatever it is, by the looks of it. So I'm still celebrating. Maybe I got celebrated a bit too much during today, so I've rather not waffled on too much as always on this. But thanks to everyone who's shown support as well, and onward and upward. It's onward and upward now. And Cambridgeshire Police, CPS, MBR don't seem to want to prosecute any animal rights activists, whether it's abusing police, nicking their dogs, trespassing, criminal damage on their fences, whatever it is. So as I've said before, invitation for the movement to push MBR out of the UK ASAP. So, little victories, little steps, they all add up into one big picture when MBR is going to announce its closure and leaving the UK, and that's coming soon, I'm telling you. Maybe not much sooner than 2 years, but within the next 2 years, MBR is going to go, and the fact that this case has been dropped against me, I'm taking as another sign of that. So in the meantime, everyone, take care.
So we have to tell them, no police officer, we not friend them. Chain them up with rope and hang them. Straight to block like hell, we are send them. We are gonna end them, not suspend them. Man despise them, not idolize them. But all think we block like them. We have to fight them in time beside them.
You've got no right to go to somebody's house. You don't go to your house, do you, stupid about?
Might even take their shoes off.
Yeah, take your dirty boots off as well while you go in
You need
there.
to take your shoes off. It's respectful.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you should do. It's not respectful, is it? Not respectful.
Disrespectful.
Oh my goodness.
That's the first time you're doing
Really?
so. Travel home in there.
What the
Hey,
heck?
nosy. Fucking nosy bastard.
A noose.
Okay, it's been explained to you. Do you know where it is?
Why would anyone have a noose? Why would anyone have a noose? It's unbelievable.
A noose. Who has a noose?
Who has a bloody
Have you got
noose?
proof of him saying that?
A noose or a moose?
Sammy, just come in.
He had a moose, he was freeing it.
It's a moose or
No, she's allowing us.
About one person coming in and filming.
It's officer safety. It's nothing disrespectful to you.
I asked for someone to come in with me and they said, yeah, she
I used to say one copy.
We're her friends, we're allowed, and she isn't allowed to back wherever she wants to.
one person observed.
She can't
but everyone can see.
But my colleague is happy to be in here with you, Sammy.
It's fine though. I've got eyeballs.
What's a noose look like? Piece of bloody rope in it? Yeah. Well then, what are you
Well,
looking
they lynch people with.
Yeah, exactly.
With.
Look, fucking noose, man.
Nobody's had a noose.
What's a noose?
It's like what you bloody hang yourself with.
What?
A rope thing.
What?
You get nooses for dogs as well.
What they're searching for.
Yeah, because apparently this dude that was in there said something about he's going to hang someone with a noose.
You don't mean a moose.
A moose is a noose. A moose is loose. Sorry, but it is laughable. Yeah, have you? Well, it's a section 118.1 after been arrested.
It's apparently the guy that did get arrested.
Yeah.
Just a bit of road. That in her vehicle. That's still
But then how would that be applicable?
Of course you would like to know what's a noose.
running around for 3 days.
Can you see a moose? Can't see a moose. Is there a moose on the loose?
There's a moose, I booked this noose.
I'll prove till they freed the moose.
You're watching too much TV, that's what it is. Too much television, mate.
When was this anyway? It's a couple of days ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's old news now, isn't it? Boom, boom.
I just like the idea that he's been running around for 3 days with this noose and then at the last second jumped into Sammy's van and hid it just before he was arrested.
There's no noose. There's no noose.
No moose or a noose? Oh no! No, we've only done part of it.
The sound can... Is there any law to protect her right?
Well,
I hope they go through paedophiles' homes like this.
oh no.
Yeah.
All the police here, look at all the crimes that are going to be happening, and there's only people here standing up for abused animals.
You know there's no moose. So much crime happening. You're more chance of finding a moose.
It's a gun.
It's isn't it?
Apologise then.
Apologise. Apologise.
Finished it. We're still so around at the front now.
You're not going to find one though. You know that.
Then they said they're not finished it, so maybe they're going to apologise at the end.
No apologies.
No.
It was an apology.
No.
Was there no
apology.
No apology. No.
There's no news shop.
No exception.
Mine.
No.
No noose.
Just gone through a knicker drawer.
Come here, you. A video.
Yeah. I do, mate.
Yeah, same as.
Okay, those Sam's is a has been here supporting the protest for the MBR, for the Beagles, and apparently I don't know what the police are looking on her van. It's a news. What's a news? Do you know what's a news? Oh gosh! So they're suspecting. What is Sam gonna do with that?
I don't know, but they reckon that because he said something that he was going to hang someone with a noose. So they're now looking to see.
Oh my God! Is that it?
Yeah.
So Sam's van has been vandalized by the police. But then I don't know what they're looking at every. I don't know what they can, so they can blame this diehard protesters here. But luckily they have not found the noose.
Yo, so we have to tell them, no police officer, we not friend them. String them up with rope and hang them. Straight to block like hell, we are send them. We are gonna end them, not suspend them. Man despise them, not idolize them. But all thing we block like them. We have to fight them in time, we fight them.